Welcome back to the Bejeweled Podcast, where 9 months feels more like 9 minutes, to be honest. I'm Joel, I'm the Operative 121, and yes, I'm finally on Blue Sky. So long, Twitter.
And I'm Giozak, and 20 days until the Switch 2.
Yeah, someone's obsessed. Clearly.
Maybe.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's been far too long, and I've counted the days, Giozak, 9 months.
Yeah, I know, it's like when we were messaging about doing this again, I had to look, it's like, really? The last time we did this was August? Okay.
August last year, yeah, so that means it's been 9 months since we did a podcast. Fundamentally, life hit.
Yeah.
For this guy, a lot of work. For this man, a ton of assignments and essays.
Yeah.
Hence where we are today. And at least you can see we have done a few layout changes, including, of course, some beautiful assets I've made. Finally. I thought it would be part of, since we have been doing some social media changes, that's why you see the changes as you see on the screen. With that said, it's Bejeweled Podcast Day. Well, yeah. It's episode 31, and today, instead of diving into 2024, I thought it would be a bit too late to do that. Instead, we're just gonna go into our, focus topics, and we'll see where our conversations lead us to. So with that said, if you're hyped for another podcast, make sure to hit the like button, subscribe for content if you're new. Clearly, I've never done this before. Follow Giozak and all of these social media links, and of course, ring that bell to notify anytime I upload on the channel. Last podcast, which was 9 months ago as I mentioned, on the card up here. Anyways, Giozak, what's your topic for today?
Good question. Like I said, I've just really been like, maybe not weirdly, I've just been super excited about the fact that we are this close to the release of the Switch 2. If you think about it, like, Switch 1 came out 2017. It felt like that was just an entirely different, period of time. So many things have changed, and
For better or for worse.
Yeah. I know the two of us, and was it also Patrick who was in the call, watching the direct?
Yes.
Yeah. So I guess maybe I haven't really asked you about this. Kind of, what are your thoughts about things kind of where they stand now with the Switch 2?
I'll be discussing that in a moment. Other than that, I'll also be talking about my main topic, which I've been putting in a lot of work into, because this has been something that I myself kind of came out of curiosity, and it's about gaming liberty. More on that in a moment. With that said, Giozak, you ready?
Yes.
Well, let's dive into it. Man, I haven't pressed this button in so long.
I didn't realize we didn't technically start it yet. We were still in the intro.
It's alright. Let me just do the...
Can you tell I'm out of practice?
We're all out of practice. You ready? Did you hear my intro?
Yeah.
Anyways, funny thing, by the way, for those wondering, the stream actually disconnected for a bit earlier, but we're back.
Oh.
Yeah, I know, it's weird. With that said, let me just take a little some stuff before I dive into this. Okay, so, straight out again, I think we'll have no delay about this. Switch 2, yes. I know it's definitely a weird time thinking about the fact that, now we have kind of the liberty, no pun intended, of, expanding on stuff that we want, and now all of a sudden we're getting a brand new console in just less than a month's time.
Yeah, kind of what I was talking about in the intro, it feels like this has been such a long time coming, and to like finally see that we are literally within striking distance of this being in people's hands, it does feel a little like unreal, if I'm being honest.
I mean, I feel like even the year that we're in, the number 2025 just sounds so unnatural.
Mm-hmm.
But then again, that's just life. We just carry on with time, and then you see where we are now. Roll, Jelzek.
I know, yeah. It's it feels weird. Even like the start of like this podcast was back in 2020 when I was 20. And now I'm like turning 26 this year. It's just like the realization, or the continued realization that like, oh, yeah, time never truly ends. It just keeps going. And I routinely remember that.
Those are some rookie numbers out there. I'm about to turn 28.
Yeah, I'll catch up to you one day.
In all seriousness, yeah, I mean, it's funny that you talked about like longevity. Like, my YouTube channel is also about to be 5 years old. Like, what?
Sorry, speaking of rookie numbers, I'm at 12 technically.
That comment.
Yeah.
Yeah, I want to talk about Uno reverse card. Well, there you go, guys.
Yeah, I started my channel when I was 13. And it went through a whole metamorphosis. By the way, this is just a random, like, unused Wendy's straw that's on my desk, and I picked it up now. I'm just messing with it.
Where did you get that from?
Yeah, it was just sitting on my desk. I don't know why it was here, but yeah, it was in the wrapper. It's not used. Yeah.
Buy it for 5 cents. No,
anyways.
But yeah, the idea that we're now in this era for us that we have a new console incoming, and like as of course the consequence of it being a ton of games incoming as well, like new games incoming, like it feels strange. When the first Switch came out, I remember that was like the first time that I got to see, the announcement of a brand new console. I just wasn't streaming at the time, so I didn't really get to like record my reactions.
Mm-hmm.
When I did the Switch to live reaction with Zhao and of course Patrick, there was just a sense of eeriness, realizing, man, now we're actually getting to see, like, look back at how we reacted, and then in due time potentially compare our reactions to what we think of it later on, like maybe 1 year after the Switch 2 is released.
Yeah, that is like a interesting thing when it comes to like reaction content, even though there are reasons why I don't really do reaction content on my channel. I was like thinking about posting like an edited down version of our reactions, but ultimately I decided, nah. Still, like, the fact that it does kind of serve as a time capsule for that sort of thing, I think is... It's something that, like, realistically, a few number of people can really, like, do, is, like, have this recorded thing that, like, they can look back on to see what exactly their thoughts were.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I guess that, kind of, speaks for just content in general. It can serve as, like, a time capsule for a number of things in terms of, like, regarding someone's, like, thoughts about something.
Then all of a sudden you backpedal into cowardly act. Like, oh, maybe I thought wrong of the Switch 2 trap.
Yeah, and I mean, there's nothing wrong with, like, changing your opinions on something if, like, enough time has passed and you can look back at it with, like, new context and, like, change, like, you realize that your viewpoint on something, like, has changed. I think, if anything, I think that's actually very, like, symbolic of, like, a healthy mindset.
Yeah, indeed. Helps you be reflective,
If-
basically, and reconsider what you think about stuff.
That's not to say that you always have to be changing your mindset on something, but to be able to say oh, maybe my initial thought on something wasn't entirely accurate, and now with extra time and context, yeah, it can change. Basically.
Sorry, I had to just check on some stuff. Overall, though, you did ask about my full opinions. To be honest, it's just one of those things where even now I can't really say too much because we're both kind of at a different standpoint about where we are with the Switch 2 in terms of our the availability. You, if I'm not mistaken, you did pre-order the Switch 2 recently, right?
I managed to get 2 pre-orders.
Nice.
Yeah, basically, I got the Walmart online, at, a little after midnight, 40 minutes after midnight. In fact, I messaged you about it, when I secured it.
Yeah, you did.
But then I was like, you know what? Just in case, I'm gonna also secure a GameStop pre-order, and just kind of figure it out from there which one I would rather get. And because my Walmart one did not automatically cancel, I was able to choose between the two. Ultimately, I went GameStop because they're going to be doing midnight releases all across the country. So I figured, okay, Wednesday after work, I'm going to come back home, eat a big dinner, and then go over there and just hang out with people for the whole evening. I imagine other people will also bring their Switches so we can play multiplayer games. And just do that, and plus then I can get ahead of the curve of people and actually get everything set up, do the system transfer, put stuff downloading before I try to go to sleep. Just so then things should hopefully be downloaded by the time everyone else is getting their home deliveries for their pre-orders from Target and Walmart.
Question for Patrick the other day that I was not sure about. Did you get the original Switch 2 or the Mario Kart 8, 9 Switch 2, World Switch 2?
I got the Mario Kart bundle.
Yeah. Okay, so I was wrong. Okay. I figured at the same time because I know you yourself, you like pre-orders, just of with games inside.
Yeah, I mean, I typically
more convenience, basically, right?
Yeah, the the Mario Kart system bundle does actually come with a digital copy of Mario Kart.
I mean, yeah, as I said, convenience.
Yeah. If anything, I got it just because it made Mario Kart $30 cheaper. That's really the reason why they're doing this Mario Kart bundle, is so then, at least for most of this year, they can get away with essentially selling Mario Kart at $50.
Man, maybe I should also get the bundle too if I do indeed buy it. The thing is that I actually haven't mentioned it, but apparently for Southeast Asia, we're getting the Switch in July, August.
Yeah, that's what I heard, is a little delayed from the rest of the world.
I ain't complaining. I don't plan to buy it immediately. Especially with all the work I'm going through. That's kind of why I say we both have different perspectives. Because you are pre-ordered straight away. I honestly am not planning to, let alone thinking of immediately trying to get one. Definitely gonna sit back, see what you guys think about it, and then let Nintendo make their repairs whenever and changes whenever they need to before I finally decide to buy one.
Yeah, excuse me. All I'm going to say is that I wanted to get the system now to like lock it in at its already announced retail price. We'll leave it at that. Because I live in the US. Yeah. The hourly chime went off on the alarmo.
Yeah, it's 10 o'clock.
Yep. Sorry. Yeah. Also, it's like, this system has been, what, like, 8 years in the making? I feel like it's gone through, quality control and quality assurance, just gauntlet. It feels like they've, I imagine they've, like, worked out all of the major issues with it, and that's really why I am confident with going ahead and pre-ordering this. Because it has been so long since Switch 1 released. If you think about it, there was like barely 4 years between the release of Wii U and Switch. I'm pretty confident in saying that Switch was rushed to market just so then Nintendo could actually like start making money from home console games again.
And technically, handheld consoles too.
Yeah, I mean, the 3DS really helped to keep them afloat, but that can only do so much when it's ultimately ended up being, what, like 70 million units? And, some people bought multiple 3DSs over the system's life.
Scalpers!
Yeah, well, I'm more so referring to people that, like, upgraded over the lifespan of the system.
Oh, okay, yeah, that too.
Yeah, because, like, me especially, like, I went from original 3DS to 3DS XL. Not quite a full jump, but I had a 2DS as well that I, like, jumped between those two for a while. Like, sometimes I system transferred to the 2DS.
See, I jumped all the way to the new Nintendo 3DS XL when I bought mine.
Yeah, I went to the new 2DS XL a month after that released because I wanted the new 3DS features, but I didn't really care for 3D at the time. But a year later, it's like, I do like the option of 3D, and I found the Super Nintendo new 3DS XL on Amazon for the same price that the new 2DS XL retailed for. So.
Okay.
Yep, and now both of those new, branded systems are soft-modded now. I don't own any other 3DSs, and fun fact, I own no physical 3DS games. They're all digital.
Huh.
Whereas with the Switch, I have like a handful of physical games. But most of it is still digital. So
I see.
So, but yeah, I do still think that's like perfectly fine for people to hold off from buying a system for a while. It's just that, yeah, there's reasons why I wanted to get it sooner, or as soon as possible.
No, I understand. It's definitely an understandable viewpoint for, you know, the current market, especially with the Nintendo Switch, and of course with all the marketing and economic stuff that has been happening as well, with all the tariffs and then the chaos that happened right after.
I didn't want to say the T word, but yeah, that. Yeah,
I mean, it's okay.
Yeah.
It's not like, you know, any other bad word. It's life. Like, it's okay if we can discuss about it.
Yeah, I guess I didn't know, like, I just wanted to play it safe because I never, like, actually, like, directly asked you if, like, is it okay if, like, we actually
I feel like the world is fully aware at this point. And even then, we know that it's a 3-month gap between decisions. So it's not like it's gonna be applied immediately. So that's
Right.
why I'm not
And-
too worried. And even then, I think for
Mhm.
myself as an Asian, it's just one of those things where it's just like, if you're not part of the economy, it's not too worrying. It's just definitely a bit weird of the decisions that were made as of recently. And hopefully with all the backpedaling that has happened, wiser decisions will be made in due time.
Yep. Yeah, the fact that there was or are these like 90-day pauses, that's why I was like, okay, I'm just gonna get it at launch or close to launch. If I can get a pre-order, great. If I can't, maybe I'll hunt around here during those couple months to, at the very least, get a system.
Yeah.
So, hey, Night Matrix.
Hey, Patrick. How are you doing? Oh, let me think.
Yeah, and also, I know that I can get hundreds of hours of gameplay from Mario Kart World, and with all the enhancements coming to original Switch games, like, even if I just left it at that, I could, like, replay Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom with higher resolution, better frame rate, and, all of the other enhancements coming to Switch 1 games. I figured, like, even if I just left it at that, that's hundreds of hours of gameplay with, like, really no other extra purchase. So, yeah.
And that's true. I think moving on to like the features, of course. I think had our impressions of the new features of Switch 2 really speak for themselves. It's just kind of funny, some of the things they kind of like mimicked with other companies that have done the similar.
Yeah, I mean, all the stuff about, like, Switch 2 edition games, it feels a lot like PS4 games running on, like, a PS5, and how it's like those are getting extra enhancements, but also just the fact that, like, okay, now we have, like, this is the first Nintendo system that can do 4K. Like, just the fact that now we have this, tangible, like, jump in, capabilities. It is wild to see, but at the same time, very expected.
I'll say that by what Patrick said. We have technology!
Yeah.
And boy, do they have a lot of it now.
Yeah, sorry, funny that you say that. That scene from SpongeBob, how Patrick uses the computer, and the Switch 2 has the mouse mode.
Ha!
I just made that connection.
It's definitely interesting to see that there's not like a mouse mode, and the mouse is your Joy-Con.
Mm-hmm. You did not say that.
Not you, Patrick, the other Patrick. It definitely, I feel like there's so much stuff now that the Switch 2 feels like it feels reminiscent. You know how with the Nintendo Switch they said they wanted to make it familiar to every other console that came prior? Now the Switch 2 feels like it is making itself familiar to every other electronic device you could think of. You have a mouse, you have Discord, you have what was it? You have like what other features I could think of? You have like the communication between people basically.
Mm-hmm.
You have a recording system technically. Like there's just so much now that feels so familiar to what we know as of this present day.
What's the recording system? Are you just talking about the capture
Yeah, exactly.
function? Okay. Yeah.
Like there's just so much familiarity that Nintendo has kind of like copied, but because of its familiarity, I think that's why people want to buy it, because it's not like overcomplicated.
Yeah, it's just like the thing that, like a device that they already use that they like, but it's more capable and more powerful and can drive more complex games, and also makes certain things a little easier. Like if you wanted to play games with other people. You don't have to have your phone or computer nearby to voice chat. You can do that just on the system now.
Pretty much.
Which is, again, feels both like revolutionary in some sense, but at the same time, like, this is just now being added to the system when all the other systems have had it.
Took 8 years, but they finally did it. But then again, they probably wanted to optimize it as much as possible.
Yeah.
If you want to make it, you want to make it the best.
Mm-hmm. And even though maybe there are some concessions, like the screen share only, or being at a lower frame rate and such, I think those make sense. There's a lot of little decisions like that it seems like people are making a way bigger deal out of than they actually are. Because it's like, if you're playing games with other people in a voice call, most of the time your attention is on your own game screen, not usually on everyone else's. That's just more of a quick glance, just to see what they're doing.
I think another thing too is the fact that when it comes to like streaming, you're not going to expect like full quality. Like Discord, you could technically have like the best quality possible when you're streaming games, but admittedly that just uses a lot of computer power, and it just depends on whether your computer is able to handle it, as to whether it runs smoothly or not.
Yeah, and
applying that same logic with what the Switch 2 is doing, you can't be too mad at the fact that it's not running fully at full capacity, because we're familiar with the fact that it shouldn't.
Exactly. Otherwise, like, what resources will the game have to run at all?
Pretty much.
Like, yeah, I think there was like some tech spec sheet that was released recently. How credible it actually is, we'll find out. But it sounds like a couple gigabytes of the system RAM. I forget if the Switch 2 has like 9 or 12 gigs of RAM. It's one of the two. But like, or I think it's like 9 gigs is reserved for games, and like about 3 is reserved for the OS, which I'm assuming is to allow headroom for game chat.
Probably, yeah.
Yeah, so, I mean, the fact that it uses like 3 gigs or less is like very good. Yeah.
It's powerful, yeah.
Yeah, I've also been thinking, like, do either of the other systems, like PlayStation or Xbox, do they have screen sharing in a voice call?
If you connect your PlayStation stuff to your Discord, yes.
Okay, but I guess I'll have to look into that, if it's like actually native or not, or if it's only if you're
No. I believe it's indirect, because what will happen is that if someone's connecting from their PlayStation 4 or 5, it will show on Discord, basically, like say, oh, this guy's connecting through that. But in and of itself, you can't really voice chat through just your PS4 or PS5.
Okay, well, specifically the screen sharing.
Correct.
Okay. And, I mean, maybe they have camera capabilities, because I think both of those systems, like, have different, like, official cameras. I'm guessing, at least. I'm just spitballing. I don't really pay attention to PlayStation or Xbox too much, because, I mean, I just stick to Switch and Steam.
Yeah. Understandably.
Mm-hmm. So, yeah, one thing I am very excited about is the fact that download play is essentially back.
Oh yeah, that's a big plus.
Yeah, it's that being said, the host system has to be a Switch 2. There is good reason for that because of the way that it achieves the same thing that DS Download Play did, where I guess for anyone who doesn't know, DS Download Play let you play multiplayer games locally with other people who owned DSs with just one copy of the game. Yep. I guess also the Game Boy Advance had a similar thing.
Yeah.
But it didn't have an official name.
Well, to be fair, it was called like single game pack, where the idea is like only one person needs the game, and then you can like play like multiplayer games in it. Sonic Advance 3, a game that I speedrun, it actually is a great example where if you multiple people have the same game, you can race on like the zone, like the acts in the game. But if only one person has it, there is actually an exclusive mode called Find the Chow, where there is a much smaller, less asset-heavy map that the players are playing in to like race around to find a chow and like keep it. Basically, it's like King of the Hill, if you're wondering.
Oh, interesting.
So with that said, yeah, definitely with that feature in mind, being put into Switch 2, it's definitely a lot of possibilities now, and I guess you can see that's more of what Nintendo is doing in terms of familiarity.
Yeah, because there have been some instances where it's like I'm with other Switch owners, and it's like, oh, it would be really nice for us to all be able to play this one same game, like even if it is just Clubhouse or whatever. But like on the Switch, everyone has to have a copy of the game unless you have the foresight to, specifically in the case of Clubhouse, everyone else download the demo, because in that case, then, yes, you can play off of just one full copy of the game. But with GameShare, it works exactly like Download Play, only one person needs the full copy of the game. And back with the Game Boy Advance and DS 3DS, the way that it worked is that the host system, the person who owned the copy of the game, their system downloads a part of the game to all the other systems, which, is great, but depending on the complexity of the game and how many other players there are, that can take a while. Especially when there are some games that supported 16 players on Download Play.
Yeah.
Even if they were more simple games like Brain Age, or I know Tetris DS had a mode where 16 people could all play like that. But the way that GameShare works is that the host system, only their system is actually running all of the instances of the game. Everyone else's views, it's essentially like this. If you think about like how the Wii U gamepad streamed video from the Wii U console, it's basically the same thing.
Dare I say it, Parsec, like.
Yeah, kind of. I mean, especially because now GameShare, like if everyone is playing on Switch 2, GameShare will work online. So, yeah, Parsec.
So that's kind of the correlation I'm garnering from what you from the description you said.
Mm-hmm. And so then people know where I'm getting that information from. It's one of the Ask the Developers articles on Nintendo's website where the developers or engineers that were like a big part of the Switch 2's development said that it was basically ended up using the same technology or same sort of techniques that they used with the Wii U. So,
dang, that's quite cool though. Overall though, I mean, we'll have to wait until a lot later, but even then, I still want to finish up my Switch 1 stuff before I even decide to buy Switch 2. If anything, I'll be honest, I might not even transfer my stuff from Switch 1 to Switch 2.
Mm.
I'm actually thinking of just like making it separate, apart
Really?
from many games that, yeah, to be honest, because when I think about it, am I really that obsessed over wanting, obsessed with that? Am I really wanting those like extra graphics for my other games? Not really. Although I can say that otherwise for Pokemon Legends Arceus, which I did buy recently, because I am planning to play that on Switch 2.
Okay.
So that's really the only exception. Otherwise, I'm planning to finish up Shantae Half Genie Heroes soon, and Luigi's Mansion 2 HD on my Switch 1 before I decide to even buy my Switch 2.
Yeah,
Basically,
I mean,
unfinished business.
That's fair.
Yeah, basically unfinished business.
Yeah, I mean, it's not to say that, you couldn't just continue that on Switch 2 with its backwards compatibility, but...
But yeah, no, I just want to finish on finished business. If I were to buy Switch 2, I feel like this is like a... You know how when Stephen George said he will not buy GTA 5 until he finishes a Let's Play at one point?
Mm-hmm.
Like, this is the same. I will not buy a Switch 2 until I finish all the games I have currently on my Switch 1.
Yeah, I mean, that is a very fair way to approach this new generation. Part of my thought has just been, well, whatever games I have right now that I haven't fully played through, I can just play those on Switch 2 whenever I get around to them. I'm not personally necessarily beholden on like playing through every single game that I purchase, because there'd be no way I could do that before I run out of time. But yeah, it's also very like fair to say, you know what, I want to get through these essentially remaining games that I have for the system before I jump ship, basically.
Yeah, exactly.
Mm-hmm. Which, I guess speaking of, in the system update that they pushed out that added game share and virtual game cards, which maybe we can touch on shortly, they also added the ability to do a full system transfer from Switch 1 to Switch 2. And I think they realized that maybe not everyone will be able to, like, pay, like, the full price for a Switch 2, so they actually added in an alternate method of transfer if you're going to be losing access to your current Switch before you get your Switch 2. Basically, the way that the system transfer would work if you have both systems nearby is that it just transfers everything, like, directly. You'll have to re-download games, but all your save data, all your settings, all your users, everything will just carry right over. And in fact, I think it more so duplicates it onto Switch 2. It doesn't do like what the 3DS did, where it does a cut and paste. From what it sounds like, this will be more of a copy and paste, which will be good for my usage. Because I'm planning on keeping this current system for reasons. But if you're wanting to sell your current Switch, you can, instead of like having to have both nearby, you can have all that data get like literally just sent to the cloud. And you have a full year to get a Switch 2 and then download all of that. And ultimately, it is the same thing. You'll still have all your data. It's just you won't have access to it if you do the cloud transfer. But it is nice that they, like, thought of that. Because, yeah, not everyone will be keeping their current Switch, which, that used to be me. I was originally going to just do a full trade-in transfer, not even bother with the old Switch, but there are a couple reasons why I figured, well, it may actually be not a bad thing to keep my current Switch OLED. Namely regarding storage. Like SD cards.
Yeah, that's true. Because you did buy an SD card for your Switch 1 OLED.
Yes.
I didn't.
So, yeah. So for context, I currently have a 1.5 terabyte micro SD card in my current Switch.
Yep.
It isn't even half full. I got that just as a future proof, just in case the new system still used normal micro SD cards, which it doesn't. It uses micro SD Express, which I was aware of the existence of those, but I wasn't really prepared to know and learn that, yeah, Switch 2 really isn't compatible with micro SD cards. Technically it is, but it's only to view screenshots and videos taken on Switch 1.
What I like, though, is the fact that they are selling, like, personalized SD cards for that, though. Like, when I bought my Switch 1 and I heard you were buying an SD card, I was thinking to myself, oh man, if only like there was an easier way I can like buy an SD card knowing that it's compatible with my Switch. Now that, you know, Switch 2 has said like, hey, these are compatible, you can buy it also from us, it's like, sweet, makes it easier.
Yeah, there is an upside to them forcing the use of microSD Express cards in the fact that microSD Express denotes like a certain baseline of performance, which means that developers can rely on that, and like it's a much faster data transfer speed compared to just normal microSD cards.
Mm-hmm.
So in that regard, I do think it is a good thing. It's just that they are kind of a newer media format, which does cause some pain points, namely in the fact that you really can't buy higher capacity microSD Express cards online right now because everyone has bought them. To the point where actually, if I step away here for a second.
Well,
get this. So I did get a microSD Express card, but I did actually only opt for, hold it up here, a 256 gig card. With the 256 gigs of storage in the system, that is half a terabyte. And considering the fact that I'm keeping my current Switch, I can basically only keep the games that I am currently playing on the Switch 2, and through the use of the virtual game card feature, I can just swap games back and forth between the systems. In an easier way compared to the setup that they had before of the primary and secondary system. That is literally why I did not go for a Switch Lite as a secondary system, and instead I just went right up to the OLED, because I didn't want to deal with that system and the fact that that system is gone. Gone. You can still do it, it's not quite the same. But, like, I've already been, like, swapping games between the internal storage and the microSD card on the Switch, because games stored on internal storage load faster. So, it's kind of the same mindset, just between two systems. If you want to think about it like that.
yeah, that's true.
And I guess, now that I brought that up, I did also buy a pack of tempered glass screen protectors for the Switch 2, because the console measurements have been pretty much public knowledge for, like, months. And not just that, but also just a basic carry case from Moomba.
Nice.
Just so then I have the basics for when the system launches.
See, I didn't have to worry about all that, because when I bought my Switch, it came with all of those.
Shoot, bumped into the mic. Sorry.
I didn't hear it, don't worry. But I know I said, like, I didn't have to worry about that, because when I bought my Switch 1, it came with all of that in one.
Yeah, Yeah, that's
They even pasted the tempered glass for me.
Nice. I think this pack of tempered glass screen protectors has the like plastic mold thing that you put on the system. So then it like lines it up perfectly. So I got a similar thing for the screen protectors I got for my Steam Deck. And like that really does help. Even though I'm like pretty good with applying screen protectors at this point, I'll spend the couple extra dollars to make it a lot easier on myself.
Yeah, worth, to be honest.
But I mean, again, that's also like a fair point as to like why someone would wait for a while to get a system. In fact, like it wasn't like until a year and March, April, May, June. It was 1 1/3 year before I got my first Switch. So, I mean, I originally waited. I would have waited if things were different. Legislatively, but yeah. Considering the fact that this thing has likely been R&D to the moon and back, I'm fine with getting it at launch.
Research and development. Okay. So it took me a bit to realize what you meant by R&D, and I was like, okay.
Yeah.
Understandable. Overall, though...
Yeah.
Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, sorry. So I mentioned the virtual game cards. I remember seeing your reaction to the Direct where those were announced, and I had the same misunderstanding of, oh, you can share virtual or digital games with anyone on your family plan, but no, it has to be people local to you.
Bummer, but that's alright.
Yeah, although in a sense, it does make sense, because then you could just join a random person's, like, family group online and essentially have access to free games. Just in, like, a game sharing group, and, like, someone could make money off of that if they charged for that service. So, and also I think they wanted to make the, like, shareability of digital games, excuse me, better match the shareability of physical games. And really no one is, like, shipping physical games, like, halfway across the world. So, it does make sense. Although that being said, like, I think they could have made that explainer video a lot clearer, but they didn't.
Explanation video?
Yeah,
This man said explainer, what?
Yeah. Yeah, I feel like it was, like, yeah, just not quite as, like, it didn't quite get to the point fast enough. It's not, like, attention span or anything, it's just, like, it's like, okay, you're, like, saying information that realistically can be just, like, 30 seconds that, oh yeah, in the future, digital games will now act as virtual game cards. You can share them between two systems that you own, or you can share this digital game with other people locally to you who are on your family group, and they automatically get returned to you after 2 weeks.
It almost feels like, you know, you just caught us in the moment, why you had to ruin it? Kind of thing.
Maybe.
I mean, that's just my view on, like, you know, because the idea of, you told us about virtual game cards, oh cool, and then we just buzz while you explain the downside. It's like, wait, what? There's a downside? That's kind of where I'm thinking, viewing this.
Yeah, and also it's like, if you're wanting to exactly replicate the shareability of physical games, you can share them with anyone local to you, not just within your family. if anything, being able to share digital games, knowing that with anyone locally to me, knowing that I will have it back within 14 days, that would make me a lot more willing to share games with people. And that is also why, part of the reason why I have kind of stuck to digital games over the years is there's no way to, like, lose or get a game stolen. It's just data that's already on the system. So if they can open it up to anyone that is local to you, even if it does have, like, tighter restrictions, whatever those may be, I think that should be done and is probably being worked on. It'll probably be a feature added at some point, but...
Potentially.
Yeah. Yeah, at the very least now, whenever you get a new digital game, it actually shows that virtual game card being, like, slotted into the system, like with the fun little animation and sound.
Yeah. We'll be curious to see where it all goes up. I think the one worry, as we close this off, I think the one worry I will have is, like, in due time, will they keep... Well, then again, backwards compatibility probably also means that the Switch store is not going to go away anytime soon.
Yeah, if it's compatible with all Switch games, it's like...
Most.
There's a number that's like, will have to get patched, but, like, the pretty much all Switch games will be compatible one way or another. At some point in time, it will be. Yeah, like, I don't think the Switch 1 eShop is going anywhere.
Which I'm grateful
if anything,
for.
Yeah, if anything, it's probably added an extra, like, whatever, 10 years to its life.
Wow, that kind of thought already is quite cool, I'll be honest.
Yeah. Yeah. It really does feel like all these, like, games that I've invested in on the Switch, being able to just, like, carry right over to the Switch 2, it really does add, like, an extra, like, sense of value to them all. Especially when I guess now a lot of games can essentially get new DLC.
Pretty
in
much.
the case of, like, yeah, like Mario Party Jamboree, Kirby and the Forgotten Land. Like, it literally does open up the floodgates to essentially any Switch 1 games, more or less still getting DLC, if they're not, like, making completely new games in whatever series. If you want to think about it like that.
Yeah, I guess so, because I think a big thing to note is that in terms of new games coming out for Switch 2, mostly third party, whilst Nintendo is releasing Mario Kart World and Donkey Kong.
Yep.
Like, when you know
at least
that,
for now.
When you know that okay, I apologize to any Donkey Kong fan. When you know that a major game franchise is getting a launch title, you know that they are kind of backpedaling in terms of making their main franchises, like, stand out in terms of the DLC.
Yeah. Although that's not to say that, like, they're definitely making a new 3D Mario game. I think this is, even though Donkey Kong Bonanza definitely has Odyssey DNA in its design, they're definitely still gonna be making, like, a 3D Mario and, like, a new original Zelda games for Switch 2. It's just, it might actually be a smart thing for them to, like, for a while at least, focus more on, like, upgrading and enhancing Switch 1 games, so then more and more people will actually have the systems after, like, a year or so, which at that point, I feel like we're really gonna start to get, like, big heavy hitters, like, first-party games at least, even though Metroid Prime 4 is coming out later this year.
Yep.
I keep forgetting about that.
Gee, I wonder why.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
what once was a long-running meme has finally become reality, but I feel like, to some people, it will always stay a meme.
Right, like...
And you know what? I'm just gonna say this out right now, and I apologize in advance. GTA 6 is like Metroid Prime 4 now.
Oh my gosh.
There, I said it. There, I said it.
Maybe, kind of. In the fact that it's been, like, in the works forever. Or for forever. Even though... If you want to think about it like this, the fact that GTA 6 was delayed until next year, Metroid Prime 4 has a chance for Game of the Year.
Oh, true.
Or there's gonna be, like, an actual chance for some, like, Nintendo game to take that spot. But, I mean, I say that, but at the same time, I could not care less about the Game Awards.
It's like the Grammys.
Yeah. It's like, yeah, I'll look at, like, what won awards, but ultimately I'm not gonna lose sleep over
Nah, me neither.
what games don't get awards and being like, oh, this game was snubbed or whatever, and it's like, I don't care. I'm gonna just play games and be happy with that. Speaking of, I was on the fence about getting Donkey Kong Bonanza for a while, but after actually watching the Treehouse gameplay, I might pre-order it. I don't know.
We'll have to see.
At the very least, I'll wait until my birthday to get it. That's a couple months later.
That's fine. That actually is fine.
Yeah. Anyway.
Yeah.
Anyways.
So, I mean, that's overall our thoughts. I mean, due time, of course, it will probably change over the next few months, depending on whether we buy it or not, depending on whether we play games on it or not. We'll just have to see. I myself will definitely have a much less strong, a much weaker opinion compared to you, because I will probably be focusing on my diploma studies, while you will probably just be gaming to the moon and back.
Yeah, during my free time, at least.
Yep.
If I could add just, like, one more thing about the Switch 2, it is also compatible with Switch 1 controllers. As long as a Switch 2... Yeah, as long as a Switch 2 game doesn't require, like, mouse mode or anything, you can just, like, sync up whatever Joy-Con and Pro controllers you have lying around and use those. There are, like... I think there's one limitation in that you cannot use the home button to wake the system, but ultimately you can still use them for multiplayer. That being said, I saw on the Target app there was the new Pro controller was still listed as available for pre-order. I did get it, more or less for one reason. Just the fact that it has a headphone jack.
Oh, that's true.
As dumb as maybe dumb as that might sound, that has always been, like, a thing I've had to work around with the Switch. Is that, like, I prefer, like, playing games with headphones. I mean, I'm just using Apple EarPods right now, but, like, if I just look around, I have Audio-Technicas here, and I have pair of HyperXs, and I have, like, 2 different pairs of in-ear monitors that I carry around with me. One more so reference, and one more so for, like, fun. I prefer just using headphones in general. I don't like speakers. And the fact that I can just plug...
This is just all I need. Anyways, continue.
Yeah. I also have a pair of Bluetooth over-ears somewhere. Technically, maybe I still have a pair of Bluetooth earbuds, but, like, literally a couple days ago I was cleaning them, and this is still on my desk. The left one, I just pulled the, like, rubber ear tip off, and it, like, took, like, a part of the windscreen off. So it's just, like, yeah.
Oops.
I don't know if I don't know if I want to bother with gluing it back together. If I'm being honest, I almost want to take this as a sign that to, like, not use Bluetooth audio, because I don't like it. But anyways, just the fact that I don't have to deal with any sort of workaround audio setups anymore. I will take that. Because, yeah, I prefer using headphones over speakers. I know I will really appreciate that. And also the programmable back paddles. That too. But that's really what I was getting to, is that, like, yeah, it's like a small thing, but it is something that has kind of plagued, quote-unquote, my experience with the current Switch, if I'm not playing in handheld mode. Or tabletop, I guess. But if I'm playing docked, it's like I have to have some sort of workaround set up. To the point where I literally have, like, a DAC, digital to analog converter for my TV that plugs into the optical port on the back of the TV to then give me a headphone jack for anything that I have playing on the TV, not just the Switch.
I see.
Yeah. Anyways, it's what's the term? A long walk for a short drink of water, whatever.
I understand what you mean. Don't worry. It's probably not a correct idiom, but I understand what you're talking about.
Mm-hmm. It's for a small reason, but it is for a reason that I will appreciate.
It's like me traveling 9,000 miles just for Taco Bell. Anyways.
I mean, if it was Taco Bell from, like, when I was growing up, then sure. Taco Bell and just fast food in general has kind of just not been as great quality as I've gotten into my teen years and above.
Hey, Taco Bell, your Crust Wrestle Supreme is still probably one of my favorites when I was there.
Yeah, that's true. If the day ever comes that you come back to the States, I'll have to, and if we're actually, like, in person, because, like, together, because that couldn't happen, because I was, like, doing a big, like, life change and transition when you were here, I will have to bring you to a Culver's if it's available. It's kind of more regional, but if it's available, wherever.
I'll just say this on video right now. If I do go back to America, it will definitely be to your state.
Okay.
Because I definitely want to finally finish up some unfinished business. Not in a bad way, in a very good way, if you know what I mean.
Oh.
Anyways,
yeah, it's
or maybe if you come to Singapore, that would be even better. But of course, that would just be your own decisions that I can't control.
Yeah. Like, now that I actually have some flight or experience being on flights now, and having, like, knowing everything to expect, it's like, I have legitimately been thinking, like, oh, maybe I should, like, actually go get a passport. Because that's a common thing for Americans, is that most people don't have passports. Because they never have to bother with traveling out of the country, because you can literally just go take a vacation in another state. The US is that big. And just do it either in a a domestic flight, or just take a long road trip somewhere.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, now that I have that experience under my belt, it's like, yeah, now I actually would feel more comfortable, like, flying to a foreign country.
So. That's nice.
Yeah. Also, I think it would be more interesting for me to visit Singapore than for you to visit here in Upper Michigan, where it is mostly, like, nature, if I'm being honest. That's why most people come up here, is for nature.
I don't mind.
Okay.
When I was during my, like, 7 to 8 month break from school, I remember, like, going around Singapore, just, like, taking pictures of nature and, like, the environment.
Nice.
And even now, I can dare say I still have the walking bug.
Okay.
So that's why I don't mind that. Anyways, put the topic aside, because we're finally going to move on to the next part. My topic.
Yeah.
I'm actually quite surprised that we managed to carry on with the Switch 2. But then again, I feel like Switch 2 was garnered to have a lot of content to talk about, admittedly.
I know, yeah. It was something I've been like thinking of like here and there. It's like, should I make a video about this? Should I make a video about this? And none of that came to fruition.
Even then, we still have a video that we're both thinking of making together.
At some point, yeah, when I get more time to actually like really start working on it.
Oh yeah, the script, all that kind of stuff. True.
Yeah, that's just how my scripted videos work, is that it's just, I don't like to rush them, I just work on them when I have the time and energy.
Oh, I mean, dude, I make scripts for my presentation, like speeches as well. So you and me both.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I think like really the only times I've like set myself to a deadline were my video about some like underrated multiplayer Switch games and my Pikmin video. I had like internal deadlines for both of those, being Thanksgiving for the Switch games one and Christmas for the Pikmin video.
Exactly.
Anyways.
Moving on, now it's my topic. Okay, this honestly is a lot of context. I did post the original question to Zach, and I did say, can game companies have enough liberty, whatever they want, whatever they want, with whatever they want to do with their main franchises? If so, when, why, and how? Now, context-wise, I'll give it. Now, me and Patrick have been doing Eminem rap bar breakdowns every Monday/Tuesday whenever Professor Ace is not available. I've actually also watched other people like Nox Hill, No Life Shack, and etc. I'll also break down the same songs on YouTube. One of those videos I watched made an interesting point about Eminem, and as a context, Eminem is the biggest selling rap artist in the world. The quote, Eminem went from commercial sound to more of, I'm gonna show you what I can do with his pen. I think at this point of his life, Eminem's just doing what he wants to do. He has that ability now. He has earned the right to. Reflecting upon this, my thoughts then deflected towards the gaming industry. We all know the major game franchises of today, and even till this day, they still hold up to the masses. Like, everyone still knows Mario after 40 years. Everyone knows Sonic after like 34 years. However, considering the many interesting directions they have gone over the years, could we apply the same thought process of having the right of liberty to game franchises?
Yeah, so you talking about that, it makes me think of like different game series that whether they do or don't have spin-offs. I was thinking of you mentioned it, but like Mario, how there's like so many spin-offs. I feel like in that sense, like it with Mario specifically, it does kind of make sense, because like at the end of the day, Mario is supposed to kind of just be like a facsimile of like your friendly neighbor down the street who they're like literally they have a day job, but they have all these like different hobbies and interests that end up getting explored.
Sorry, I can just now imagine like, Mario actually being a neighbor, like, hey, you want to play this?
Yeah.
That was the first thing that came to my mind when you said that.
Yeah. Yeah, like, if you want to think about it in the context of, like, spin-offs, because, again, that's where my mind went, it's like, yeah, you don't really see, like, spin-offs of series that aren't, like, as, maybe, like, big or profitable. It's usually after a series has had several successful entries, they, like, start doing spin-offs and, like, taking different creative liberties with those, and all that. So, I mean, in that context, yeah, I do think it does equate pretty well.
Then again, we do see some games like fall on the wayside, but I do want to discuss like positives versus negatives first, just so we can kind of have a context of like this whole topic about liberty. First off, on the positive side, I can think of games like Final Fantasy XIV, Mario and Rabbids, so the Sonic Racing series, whether it be Riders or even All Stars, and then more importantly, like Pokemon, especially with like Colosseum, XD. Now, I will go through one by one. I know there was a lot of games I mentioned, but I will be going through one by one, kind of just explaining why I say these, like, did not follow the formula and succeeded. Sure, the gate Final Fantasy XIV. Now, I'm sure people always think of Final Fantasy XIV as an RPG, like a Japanese RPG for so long. It was only until Final Fantasy IV when they changed the formula of the turn-based system, because it was no longer, each person takes a turn. It's rather there is a time-based turn. Time-based turn-based system. I know that's a mouthful. That they carried on for like many more games afterwards. And then Final Fantasy XIV said like, hey, we will make it online now. And look at how much they have succeeded now. There's like several packages, like oh boy, I forgot what was it, Bloodhound or something like that, etc. And then you see its popularity. There are still times where people have to wait like an hour to get into the server.
Yeah.
Well, that's how much popularity it's had.
Yeah, and sometimes, like, yeah, that those, like, new and different ideas, like, can really, like, influence the whole, basis of, like, an already, like, pre-established series, not just, like, in regards to a spin-off, but, like, yeah, trying new and different things with the main entries of a series. I'm guessing I don't follow Final Fantasy enough to like know is that I know it is like Final Fantasy, is it 16 that's the MMO that you were talking about?
14.
14.
Because 14 was the first online-based one.
Right, yeah. Yes, sometimes, like, there, maybe has to be those, like, new and different shakeups to an already pre-established formula in order to, like, bring more life and energy into it.
I guess you can give the same argument about Mario and Rabbids.
Maybe.
I think the crazy thing, when you think about it, is that all of a sudden you have who's the Rabbids like coming into like so many different franchises. Like it was not only just Mario; they did Rayman, I believe, and some other stuff. It's like, but you don't expect a combat turn-based game to work with Mario, but it somehow does.
Right. Obviously, like, Mario isn't any stranger to, like, turn-based stuff, but in that completely different context of essentially being, like, a strategy game, like, I do think, like, it works, like, pretty well. That being said, I didn't play as much of Kingdom Battle as maybe I should.
I mean,
I got... Yeah.
I feel
got
like
it on sale.
I feel like those who were making the game were just like, how can we attract Fire Emblem fans?
Give Mario a gun.
Exactly.
Yeah. No, just the more, maybe you could say, in-depth strategy compared to maybe other turn-based Mario offerings. Or if not more strategy, just like a different form of strategy, because now that I've actually had a chance to play through stuff like Thousand Year Door, there is like a layer of strategy to not just the battles, but like your whole badge loadout that like, yeah, you literally don't get with any other Mario RPG. So, yeah, just all different kinds of, like, strategy systems, basically.
That's true. Next one will be the Sonic Riders and All-Stars Racing event for that series. Now, admittedly, it's a bit of a loose spin-off because you think of Sonic as fast, you would expect like racing to be part of the equation. Plus, you had Sonic R beforehand. But the fact they've included new characters and later on they've decided, hey, let's bring back our previous franchises of the past. At first, it's just like, it's probably not gonna do well because it's like, I don't even know this character, I don't even know that character. But all of a sudden, it's like, man, you realize how much this game has succeeded over the years, even till now.
Yeah, I do hear about stuff about Sonic All-Stars Racing Transformed. I've never gotten a chance to play it, but like, yeah, yeah, sorry. Sorry.
Did you have any trouble formulating?
Yeah, can you tell it's this is around the time where I've actually normally been going to bed. I've actually been doing pretty good with correcting my sleep schedule. Yeah, it's in that regard, like, it's a case of like maybe you don't want to completely revamp everything, like introducing new stuff while still keeping the core of like whatever it may be, like a cast of characters or a specific battle system. Like, if you have things that that work, what's the point in completely ditching everything? Basically.
Sometimes that's true.
Yeah, if I'm making any sense right now.
I mean, to be fair, that's actually something I never thought of. The idea that it's you keep the formula of what your character is about still intact. Like, that's quite nice. I didn't even think of it that way, and I'm glad that you actually brought it up, to be honest.
Nice.
Then the last game I mentioned was Pokemon Colosseum XD, because that, if I'm not mistaken, okay, semi 3D, because if you think about it, it was kind of like very similar to like Pokemon Gen 6 and Beyond, where they kind of move in a 3D space. But at the same time, you're forced to do double battles every single battle.
Yeah, and was it? Yeah, it was like, excuse me, like Ruby and Sapphire that introduced double battles?
Correct, and those were in 2002. Colosseum, I believe, it was on the GameCube 2004.
Okay. So, yeah, it was taking an idea that was kind of explored from big pre-existing series, and I guess you could say basing the whole gameplay off of it, because you said that all the battles are double battles?
Correct.
So, I mean, I don't play Pokemon, but I imagine that really does have to, like, change how you approach everything compared to, like, just a normal Pokemon game.
Yes, it felt more strategic-based rather than just, like, spamming stuff.
Yeah, and also just the fact that it's on a home console that allows it to have like a bigger scope compared to the type of platform that Pokemon has historically been on, which for most of its life has been lower powered handhelds.
Yeah, that's true.
Allows them to explore some things that the main series was never really able to explore until this, I guess, technically still current console generation of the Switch.
Indeed.
Even though it's kind of been tumultuous, but ultimately it seems like people still like Pokemon, so...
I mean, we'll kind of argue. Yeah. We'll kind of discuss about that in a moment. Now I want to go to the games on the negative side. So like they tried to bend the formula and it did not work out. The first one I think it is very infamous: Sonic Chronicles.
Sonic Chronicles.
The Dark Brotherhood for DS. Have you ever thought of Sonic the Hedgehog in an RPG sense, Chowzak?
Oh, like a turn-based RPG?
Yes.
Never thought about that.
Yeah, don't.
Okay.
Because unfortunately it did not work out properly. The funny thing is that if you kind of take away the fact that the music was awful in that game, it kind of can work, but at the same time, the turn-based system wise and just like how it works, it's kind of like it's like very off-putting, I would say, if you look at it.
Okay. I just pulled up some gameplay footage just to see. I mean, this is just like a quick look, but I mean, I was about to say, you don't typically think of Sonic as being like a good RPG series, but for a while no one thought about the same of Mario until Super Mario RPG, and it's like, oh, you could actually do this somewhat competently.
Would you say maybe it's because of timeline? Because RPG came out in 1993, around there. And then you look at Sonic
96.
Chronicles... 96, yeah. And then you look at Sonic Chronicles, that was like 2008, where I feel like the scrutiny was like much heavier back then.
Yeah, maybe in that sense, because there was like less time between Mario like being popular and Mario RPG releasing compared, well,
yeah, no, you're right.
Oh, would it be about the same time?
No,
amount of time?
Because it would be 11 years for Mario, it would have been 17 years for Sonic.
Was it 17? Okay. Okay, so maybe it's just there wasn't with that like extra time, people just kind of like settled on, oh, like Sonic would never do something like this, and then they
did it anyways.
They do something that isn't really associated with Sonic, who is a fast hedgehog who is then being put into a turn-based RPG where every character has to take their turn to move.
I feel like now, when I think of it further, that you give the very simple topic of Sonic the Hedgehog being a fast character versus Mario, who's kind of like, oh, he's a plumber, that's all about it, but he all of a sudden does platforming. Mm-hmm. With one character, you have lots of liberty. With one character, you don't have as much, because like you always, like the mass will always think of Sonic as speed and almost nothing else.
Yeah. Whereas like Mario is kind of like a jack of all trades.
Exactly. And that anything you put onto Mario, people just like, oh, I guess he can do that. But we put you Sonic, it's like, no, this is sacrilege.
Right.
And it's sad to know that people are so fixated on that.
Yeah. I mean, even if an idea does seem outlandish like this, if the execution of it is good, then I don't think people will necessarily scrutinize it as much, but I would have to look further into Sonic Chronicles to like better understand why people don't think is good. Just because, like, if I'm being honest, I am literally just now learning about this game's existence.
Well, there's a reason why, Jowzak. There's a reason why.
Probably.
Next up on the docket I want to talk about is Mario Luigi remakes added features. I had to clarify there because even though Mario Luigi has had like a much success in its like early stages, the remakes, yeah.
So I assume you're talking about the Superstar Saga and Bowser's Inside Story remakes?
Correct. Because here's the thing, part of it is not a part of it is sticking to the formula. The other part is something new.
Mm-hmm.
Because you have basically have something like BattleBot-esque kind of a gameplay.
Yeah. So for context, the Mario RPGs have always had the element of pressing buttons in time with the movement and actions of whatever character it is that you're controlling. And so you take this series that is known for its, like, technically action gameplay within the confines of, or the scope of a turn-based RPG, and you just completely get rid of, like, any of that agency within the battle system, and, like, you just watch your troop attack another troop. Maybe you do some, like, commands on the touchscreen. I tried to play through those side modes in both of those remakes. Did not finish either.
Yeah, so finish Bowser's Minions.
Oh, did you actually?
And admittedly, I wouldn't say it wasn't worth it, but it definitely felt a bit mundane.
Yeah. Yeah, it was just getting to the point for me where it's like, this is not what Mario and Luigi is about. Why did they do this?
Boom, there we go. Like, that's that's where one of those things where you really feel as though it's not about Mario. It's like, no, this doesn't work.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where the liberty, unfortunately, stops for Mario, actually.
Yeah. Yeah, I didn't expect you to bring up the Mario and Luigi RPGs because I don't know if you've noticed, but the sound effects that I've used in Pokedoku are actually from Bowser's Inside Story.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. I have different sound effects play depending on the context of what square gets claimed. Like, if a square gets claimed, it plays just like the "you got a mushroom ball" sound effect. If it sets them up for a win, it does the "you got a special item" sound. I started doing if the square that they claimed blocked the other person from winning, I have it do the Paper Mario Lucky sound.
Ah, I had noticed that.
Yeah, I started doing that just without really thinking. It's like, I feel like this would fit. The bomb sound, I believe, is I so long ago that I played Bowser's Minion, or Bowser Jr.'s Journey specifically, from the Bowser Inside Story remake, but the bomb sound is the fail sound effect from that side mode. And the victory sound is, I think it's acquiring a star cure in Bowser's Inside Story, which is like
interesting.
During that stretch of the game where you have to collect those 3. So, and then if there's like a extra talking afterwards, I just put in the Mario Party DS contemplation music. If for those of you who were curious about that.
Yeah. That's quite cool. All right,
Yeah.
next on the list, Raven Raving Rabbits. Now, I'll be honest, I had to look this up to realize this was not a well-received game for the Wii.
Yeah.
And when you think about it, it's kind of ironic that it didn't, because you have Rayman, and who's like, I wouldn't say very well known at the time in the 2000s, but at least the game franchise, in terms of that, at least they was selling well. And then you have rabbits.
Yeah.
But then again, it could also just be execution when you look into the game because, hey, Jowzak, tilt controls.
Yep. Oh, sorry. I was like, what was that? That was the Windows alert sound on my end.
Oh.
Why were those not turned off? I'm sorry. Well, that's baked into the recording.
Funny thing is, I can't even hear on my end, so...
Yeah, it's only on my computer. I meant to turn that off, but, like I said, it's been a while since we've last done this. So... the people watching on YouTube will hear it.
Oops.
Yeah. So, yeah, it's like trying to add this whole, like, extra character identity to, and, like, a very strong and focused character identity, I would say, to, like, a series that, like, definitely had its own identity. I say that, but I've not played a single Rayman game. Yeah, just kind of trying to, like, bolt on this, like, extra, like, side to everything, I guess. Again, like, I think it really comes down to the execution. And the fact that, at least at the time, like, probably Rabbids were just known for slapstick humor and screaming. I'm guessing.
That's true.
Like, in the current day context, you can basically say, like, oh, they're the video game equivalent of Minions.
Never
yeah.
thought of it that way, I'll be honest.
Right. It's like, that was pointed out to me, like, forever ago, and I can never think about them the same.
It's embedded.
Yeah, well, they're ultimately, like, pretty identical looking. Their speech is unintelligible to us, the player, and they're known for slapstick humor, and yeah, there's like a lot of parallels between
And yeah,
them.
I also say with Rayman, and unfortunately, it's just an execution that sucked. Later games would actually like change the formula and like be a lot better. Like, if I'm not mistaken, Rayman would appear again with the rabbits in the later games, but in those later games, it was rather just a mini game battle royale rather than a full-on story.
Yeah, if anything, it feels like maybe Rabbids were created for, like, maybe a different kind of market that they then tried to, like, bolt onto a pre-existing IP, and they realized, maybe this doesn't work. Except then they did it with Mario, and it worked. But then again, there was more of, like, an actual game element in the form of, like, strategy RPG.
You know what?
I
Yeah,
guess.
that's very true. Now that I think about it further, because the idea that Mario Rabbids kind of had like a storyline alongside the gameplay, and they both like merge well into each other. Oh, and let's not forget the DLC.
Right.
So that's why it
Yeah.
kind of worked better compared to Rayman.
Yeah. Yeah. It's... When I was saying that of, like, it feels like this, new IP was bolted onto an existing IP to try and, like, appeal to a different, like, market or demographic. Something came to mind, but now I've lost it because I accidentally flung this over onto the floor. Yeah. I don't know.
That's okay. It's just one of the things where I was just thinking about it further. It's like, yeah, it's starting to look like more like execution errors rather than, Liberty.
Yeah, because I feel like no matter how crazy or zany of an idea someone has, if they can get it to, like, work together and feel natural, I think people will not feel as weirded out, I guess. And will be able to, like,
appreciate?
Yeah. Yeah.
You know one game that didn't manage to do that as well?
What?
Mario Kart Tour.
Oh.
I had to put one last one in, and I think you know why about this in this context.
Is it just like the monetization structure, or is there something else I'm forgetting about?
Yeah, you could say that. Especially with, as I heard, the ranking system in terms of, like, you know, like getting stars or some sort, because I heard it's bogus.
Okay. I haven't played Mario Kart Tour enough to really know offhand. I did play it for a while, but it was years ago.
Well, a big thing as to why I say it probably flopped is for two big reasons. Personally, as of recently, do you think we've ever actually had any announcements about Mario Kart Tour having extra stuff added in?
I don't think so. If I remember correctly, they stopped adding new content, like, within the past year or two.
And then secondly, look at Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. What DLC tracks they added into with the booster expansion? Or the booster pass?
Yeah, so, okay, they stopped doing new content for Tour in October of 2023. And I think, yeah, that was around, or that was just a couple months before they did the last batch of Booster Course Pass DLC. Because that was 2022 and 23. So
you can kind of see where I'm leaning towards that.
Yeah. But also it just felt like a lot of the Booster Course Pass was just an excuse to get a lot of the original tracks from Tour onto not a phone game.
And yet, as I've heard from many, like, you know, they appreciated that, especially, don't mean to brag, the Singapore course. I heard from many, including from my friend groups, that's like, man, I love this course.
Yeah, I mean, even as someone that, like, has barely left the US, that is probably, like, one of my favorite Tour tracks, I would say. Yeah. Though I will say all of the Tour tracks, after revisiting them somewhat recently because I wanted to finish up all the time trials in 8 Deluxe before World, just so then that was completely off my plate. A lot of the Tour tracks just have weirdly unnatural turns, like sharp turns. I get that it's, like, meant to mimic a lot of historic, like, architecture and, like, city planning type stuff. It's just, after giving it some time and then coming back to it, it's like, a lot of it felt maybe a little not exactly the best.
I see.
Yeah. In a sense, that's why I'm excited for Mario Kart World, because it'll be pretty much like, well, maybe not pretty much, just the completely new tracks. They have to be more open to accommodate double the players. Yeah.
I just looked up Mario Kart Tour, like, on Google, and even Gemini already straight away said, like, often criticized for being complex, frustrating, with some players feeling it doesn't accurately reflect their skill or performance.
Yeah.
So there you go.
Yeah.
They already had such a great system with, like, the recent Mario Kart games. Why complicate it?
Yeah, they already had the VR system. I think it was called VR, where basically you get points more points the higher you rank in a race, but if you place within, like, the bottom portion, you actually lose some points.
Yep.
So they literally could have just done that, because it's worked since Wii.
And it's not just the multiplayer system, it's also like the single player, like that was complicated as well, or more tedious if anything.
Yeah. I mean, I think a lot of it maybe has to do with it being a free-to-play mobile game, but I don't want to say that for certain, because again, I don't have an experience with it, but at this point, I don't think I'm really gonna play it.
Yeah, me neither, to be honest.
Yeah, but I do remember some of the unlock stuff being, or just a lot of the stuff about it like that being more obtuse than it really needed to be. So.
That's true. Okay, now on the contrary, Giles, like we've been talking about liberty of like how games can, like, you know, there's spin-offs of like to different kind of genres just because they can.
Mm-hmm.
There are some franchises that may have failed in sticking to their own brand.
Yeah,
and I don't mean like, you know, the full franchise of games. I'm talking about like one game or another that is an oddball despite being sticking to its formula. Incoming one is a joke. The Zelda series. Thanks, timeline.
Yeah. Yeah, like, if I'm being honest, a lot of the reason why I was never a big Zelda fan was literally because of the formula of each individual game. I think at this point I have scripted a video that I haven't done anything with yet. Maybe I'll end up capturing footage for it with the Switch 2 editions of Breath of the Wild, Tears of the Kingdom.
Ooh.
But literally the fact that, like, every Zelda game was pretty much the exact same type of deal, where you go to a dungeon, you get an item, use that item to defeat the boss, more or less, and that item has limited utility, or it has specific utility. Whereas with these Switch Zelda games, even though Breath of the Wild was on Wii U, the fact that it took base ideas from the already established Zelda series and kind of reinvented them in the context of a large open world, almost harkening back to the original Legend of Zelda game, where that was more open and you could do things non-linearly. That's even a word.
No, that is.
Yeah, I think literally going back to the basics was, like, the best thing for the Zelda series. And I say that, but I still, like, I played through the Link's Awakening remake and Skyward Sword HD. Skyward Sword HD literally being notorious for being incredibly linear. And I actually ended up liking those games more than I thought I would, because we have these Zelda games that are more open while still, like, staying within certain conventions that were still part of the Zelda series. Like, that is quite literally why I am a casual Zelda fan now. And then they even kind of expanded on the idea of open world Zelda with Echoes of Wisdom. There are some things that I think Echoes of Wisdom does better than Tears of the Kingdom, but it's not quite an equivalent, but that's a whole other discussion. Yeah, I really liked Echoes of Wisdom. I'm excited to play that on Switch 2, where it's going to run better. Like, like I said, I'm excited for Switch 2, if anything, because it enhances all the games I currently have, more or less.
That's true.
But yeah, like, sometimes you do either have to, either add new ideas to an already existing series, or, in the case of Zelda, literally go back to basics, because that's what Zelda 1 pretty much is a non-linear game. I here and there I think about, or every so often I think about playing through the original Legend of Zelda game with a guide, or some, like, maybe not like a direct guide of like, go do this, go do that, but just like some level of guidance. Because I know I've heard like trying to play through that original Legend of Zelda game, if you've never played it before, can be brutal.
Yeah, I could agree with that.
Yeah. But I still think I want to experience that at some point. Just don't know when that'll be.
I find it funny, I'll be honest, right now. It's like, I mentioned it as a joke, and yet we kind of carried it on for it.
Yeah.
Because again, the only thing that I was joking about is the fact that, they got it wrong with the timeline, rather.
Oh, true.
Gameplay-wise, I mean, you did mention how it's kind of stuck to the same formula for so many games. In fact, now that I think about it further, wasn't Twilight Princess like the last game in the franchise in that kind of vein? Before Breath of the Wild came out?
It would have been Skyward Sword.
Oh, Skyward Sword. That's true.
Yeah, and in between those, there was a Link Between Worlds on 3DS, which was actually shaking things up already with a non-linear structure.
No.
Really?
Sorry,
I thought you could, like...
I had to pause there real quick, because I have 100%ed Link Between Worlds.
I thought the whole, like, shtick of that game was, oh, you can, like, go do any dungeon in any order.
Not necessarily.
Huh.
I wouldn't say that, to be honest.
Okay.
I had to follow a guide for that game at one point.
Really?
Yes, and I'll say it right now. It felt a bit more. I mean, okay, in terms of linearity, it felt more restricted compared to Link to the Past.
Okay.
And
interesting.
Another thing to point out is the fact that when it came to like the extra things they added compared to Link to the Past, they were more annoying rather than fun.
Okay.
But I mean, that's besides the point, admittedly.
Okay.
I'm just trying to remember real quick though.
I do know that you can do any dungeon in any order. And you can, like, buy the...
Oh! That! I mean, the problem with that is that it does require a lot of rupees at times.
Yeah, and that you can, like... Yeah, you have to... Maybe not have to, but, like, you can get, like, all of the different, essentially what would have normally been dungeon items with rupees. Either buy them straight out or, like, rent them.
Yeah.
I think.
And once you die, you have to repay it again.
Yeah. That's just one of those games that it's like, at some point I want to play it, but it's not a priority.
I mean, it's still fun, but there's some elements that will be like, you will be like, ugh, over. I'll just say that right now.
Yeah, although, now that I'm thinking about it, Skyward Sword was 2012, Link Between Worlds was 2013. So it wasn't between Skyward Sword and Twilight Princess. If I said it was between before, I misspoke. Because I think I did.
That's alright. Anyways,
yeah, but basically, they were playing around with non-linearity before Breath of the Wild.
True. Anyways, the two main games I want to talk about, with them sticking to the formula but kind of failing in their own ways, Sonic 06 and Super Mario Sunshine with a question mark. I'll just say that right now. I mean, think about it. Sonic 06, 3D Sonic game, you would think, oh, we'll do well. Nope.
Right?
And then Super Mario Sunshine, you could think of it as a much more bigger collectathon. Like, oh, okay, collectathon, collect stuff, win, you win. Nope, didn't really work out as well either.
Yeah. I mean, So, after being able to play Mario Sunshine when it came to the Switch, like, just the fact that it doesn't offer the same openness to being able to eventually access the final boss, similar to what Mario 64 did. Like, with Mario 64, you just had to get 70 stars. Doesn't matter what stars, just 70 of them. Whereas with Sunshine, you had to get specific shines, or like up to a specific episode, in every area, with no exception, pretty much.
Yep.
So it's not like all the extra shines that you could find throughout Delfino Plaza really did anything for the casual player. And the reason why they allowed for that amount of flexibility in Mario 64 is so then casual players could more easily finish it, because they knew that it would have been, like, going from 2D to 3D was a big jump for a lot of people that maybe they weren't able to like fully adjust to it. Whereas with Mario 64 or Mario Sunshine, they like completely reversed course on that, and it's like, no, this feels like it's for the hardcore almost.
Yeah.
If you want to think about it like that. Also, just the fact that Mario Sunshine at times like crumples in on itself under the weight of being played normally, with how glitchy it can be for some people.
Yeah, sadly.
Yeah. And with Sonic 06, I know that, like, that game has long load times at points. And is it just that it's, like, not just as polished as it, like, should have been?
Yes, that too.
Like, kind of, what specifically about it? Because it's been a while since I've last thought about Sonic 06.
Like, the speed sections, right? As soon as you hit a wall, you die.
Oh. Okay. Like, not even just, like, drop your rings,
nope.
like the previous Sonic games?
Nope.
Okay. Well, yeah, that's... just by, like, running into a wall at, like, top speed? Is that what it is?
Pretty much.
Okay.
Yeah, you can tell they went for realism and it didn't work.
Yeah.
Hyper-realism, now that I think about it further.
Mm-hmm.
I still stand by, however, I'll be perfectly honest with you all, that at least is still, like, one of the more better characters, in my opinion. I know, I said it.
Mm-hmm. Nice. Again, I don't know enough about the game to really say one way or another.
But even then, both of those games stand out for me, like, as in that same category where, like, it's part of the main franchises, and yet they flopped in their own ways. Now, I have to emphasize in their own ways, because I definitely cannot compare one game to the other. 100% I cannot.
Right. Yeah.
It's kind of like their own leagues of bad.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was... each of those series still, I guess, finding their footing with 3D, even though, like, Mario 64 did a lot of things correct, well, like, right out the gate.
What's interesting, you think about it, Mario Sunshine was 6 years after Mario 64, right?
Something like that, yeah.
I believe. And Sonic 06 was 5 years after Sonic Adventure 2, and we already know Sonic Adventure 2 was a masterpiece in many people's eyes.
Yeah, sorry, I completely forgot about Sonic Adventure.
Yeah, but remember, Sonic 06 was supposed to be like Sonic Adventure 3.
Mm-hmm.
They just failed miserably at that.
Yeah, it's like, you think that they would be able to do the same level of quality with the better hardware compared to what they had to work with before, but...
True, because Sonic 06 was on the PS3.
Mm-hmm.
So they definitely have way less excuse room compared to Mario Sunshine with the game. Well, then again, I can't say the GameCube is a bad system either, though, right?
Yeah, I think the GameCube was technically more powerful than the PS2.
No, PS3?
Definitely. I'm just thinking in context of the console generation, GameCube, PS2,
okay,
original Xbox.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Sorry. I'm just looking up what system Sonic 06 was originally released on.
I believe the PS3. I might be wrong.
Yeah, Wikipedia... Wikipedia is saying that it was also on 360.
Sounds about right. Same generation.
Okay, I was wondering if that was also part of it, because PS3 was notoriously difficult to program for because of the cell processor architecture, which they almost kind of did arbitrarily, so then people didn't have as much time to port their stuff to 360.
Yeah, that's very true.
Because Sony was still riding the high of the PS2 that, if I'm being honest, I think at this point is kind of unfounded, because so many people bought it as a DVD player because it was the cheapest DVD player at the time. So it's like, were those people even buying it to play games? I don't know. It's a hard thing to measure, so it shouldn't really take it into account, but it's like, a lot of people did do that, is get it primarily as a DVD player that, could also play games.
Yeah.
Whole other discussion. But
Definitely whole discussion, but it's interesting you probably brought it out a little more.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so the last point I want to go to sum it all up, because overall I feel like we've come to consensus that mostly the idea of like liberty is it's just the execution that must be on point, otherwise it will be not as well accepted. There was another point that the same people that I got those quotes from said, and that was, there are a lot of upcoming artists that sometimes have to do the stuff, rap artists by the way, that makes them popular. Apply this to the revival of 3D Mario through Mario Odyssey, because if you think about it, the gap between Mario Galaxy 2 and Odyssey was like 7 years?
Something like that, yeah.
And the return of 2D Sonic and Sonic Mania, because the gap between Sonic 3 and Knuckles and Sonic Mania was like, wow, way bigger than that, 20 plus years.
Yeah.
How much does this point stand, where sometimes the popular game franchises might have to keep going by that same what they makes them popular to be more popular?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, sure, it is good to try new and different things, but also, at the same time going back to a formula that worked in order to, remember what made this series good to begin with. So then you can then take that information into new entries that can, again, do more, new and different things.
Yeah, exactly. For those wondering, I actually have on my notes, I was actually about to say the revival of Mario Golf and Mario Tennis. But ironically, even though I can bring those up, you could take that as on the negative side. The fact that those games, even though they revive certain series that haven't been existing on the Mario franchise, it didn't really receive as much love compared to the mainstead.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like maybe part of it has to do with just the general strategy for Mario sports games, specifically on the Switch, how they always insisted on doing the free updates over time, which you'd think like, oh, that would be good, but it made the games kind of bare at launch. from what I've heard, at least. Because of everything that people have said about these Mario sports games, that's why I haven't bought any of them. Even though I was very excited about Mario Strikers coming back, but then to hear like, oh, it's still the same formula of have an okay amount of content at launch, but then kind of like build it out over time, and then not really have too much single player content, and really just bank on people just being really excited about playing these online.
Oh,
and
yeah.
Yeah, like, I still have thought about getting Mario Strikers Battle League. If anything, like, not to, like, play it all the time, but to just, like, have it around as, like, a fun, like, party type game, because you can do up to 8 players locally. I think that sounds fun.
That's true.
Regardless.
Yeah, I see where you're coming from with that. And, you know, the idea of, like, pay for excitement strategy definitely did not work out. And it's definitely a strategy that, I mean, could work in contexts, but, I mean, for Mario's case, did not work as well.
Yeah.
Well, actually, no. More so, like, well, pay for excitement with free updates after definitely did not work out well. I should probably add that in. Because of the fact that there was the problem that, I mean, I can see the problem straight away. You pay for excitement, yeah, but the game feels barren. And it's only like a lot later in the year that it's like it becomes a lot better. But even then, the hype by then had died down.
Mm-hmm. And it's not like it's almost like they were trying to take the formula of Splatoon, where it does exactly that. It's like a pretty okay amount of content at launch, but you know that it's going to get built upon over time. Because they've done that for the past 3 games. The 2 on Switch getting full DLC single-player expansions. But they never did it to that scale with the Mario sports games. It's like, if you're going to go the Splatoon route, you have to go the Splatoon route, otherwise people will feel soured over time if they don't just really like the base gameplay loop and are okay with, like, just playing that over and over again. Because, like, there were, like, different ranked modes that were added in the lifespan of Splatoon 1 and 2. 3, not so much. Really felt like 3 was a stopgap between the support for 2 ending and them seeing that, oh, Switch 2 isn't being released for, like, a couple more years. We kind of have to still do something. So I feel like that's why Splatoon 3 really just felt like an overall refinement rather than doing new original stuff. But basically, if you're gonna go the Splatoon route, go the Splatoon route, add a whole bunch of content over time, and just make it, like, really give the player something to come back to over time with, like, new and different things. Like, yeah, sure, you have, like, the base soccer mode of, like, Mario Strikers, but, like, I know it's always easy to say, oh, add extra modes, but, like, you could. Really could. whatever those would entail, just don't bank on the idea of, oh, people will just be okay with playing this online just over and over again, because that's what it really seemed like they were expecting people to do. And so that's why any additional content just was non-existent.
That's very true. Yeah. Man, it's almost like the culture, the game culture, has really changed over the years. I guess that's also another challenge that people have with game companies will have with Liberty, just adapting as well to the ever-changing game climate of the mass.
Yeah.
Like it's not only just the fact that they have to make their games well, it also has to appeal to the mass properly. Because what's the point of making a fantastic game that has great features, quality of life parts, etc., if the concept is not all the more appealing?
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's also a big issue as well. When you think about it further, it's like, man, my games didn't sell well because all because people don't like this kind of idea, like starting idea.
Right. Again, it comes down to the execution.
You know what? That's very true. All the more. I think that's really the ultimate statement, the concluding statement. Like, Liberty is there, it's just the execution needs to be near flawless, otherwise it will flop.
Right. Yeah. Doesn't matter what ideas you have, it just matters how you carry them out.
I guess that you know the thing about it. That's probably why many third-party indie games can flourish. Executed game concept. Well-executed game concept equals high sales. Like, it need not always be the initial it may not be a main franchise that will be well known, but if the game sells out well, then booyah.
Yeah, I think of Bug Fables, even though it's not a super mainstream indie game. It is pretty relatively well known within the indie game space. Just the fact that it replicates, or what it set out to do was to essentially be both a refinement, but also kind of turning the Paper Mario battle system on its head to an extent. And I think it does it really well, and to some degree I do prefer it over the Paper Mario battle system. Although it's not to say that the Paper Mario battle system is bad, it's just I think they both excel in different ways.
That's very true. And again, it's just all about execution that really matters in this whole context.
Right.
Oh, all right. With that, ladies and gentlemen, I feel like, I'll be honest, I feel like this podcast was good.
Yeah, for it being 3 months, or no, 3 months to it being a year since I don't know why I thought about it like that. I just said 3. It being 9 months since we've
it's confirmed.
Yeah. Just with how long ago we last have done this, it's I knew that's okay, we can fill the time. It's just, it's been this long that it's there's always a little degree of uncertainty jumping back in. But yeah, I think we did very well.